Hello, Brittany Cano here with Holistic Nurse Coaches. So today we're going to talk about turning your story into triumph. We all have story. We've all been through hard times. We're either in the middle of a hard time right now. Maybe we are coming out of a dark time in our life, or at some point we're going to be faced with challenges again. It's the name of life. Sometimes things are smooth and easy, and other times we are facing challenges. Something that I like to remind myself of is that although I may have at times very little control over the things that are going on around me, outside of me, there are things that I do have control of within me. And so much of our lived experience has to do with what's going on in our inner world. And while that can sometimes feel like a lot of pressure, it's also really empowering. So I'm going to share today some tips on how to turn your story into triumph. First thing is to really just share when you have somebody or find somebody that are out there. Believe me, at times in my life, I didn't feel like there was anybody I could share my deepest, darkest secrets with, other than my best friend and maybe my mom at the time. There really are people, and I'm so grateful to have them now, that you can share with your secrets, the things that you're afraid of, the things that you're troubled with. When we can share from a place of, hey, this is what I'm afraid of, and I'm choosing not to let this have power over me anymore, we can really start to move forward and not stay stuck. So whatever you're facing right now, if there's something that maybe you're over worrying about, or you're dealing with a lot of anxiety or stress about, or maybe you're ruminating about something in the past that you can't change what actually happened, but we really do have the ability to reframe, to find healing and process what did happen in the past so that we can be at peace in the present moment. So the first thing is to come face to face, be really honest, be courageous and vulnerable with what it is that you're afraid of, and then making that choice to not let that fear run your life anymore. It's normal to have fear. I always say we're wired for survival. And so that is something that will continue to come up, fears, but a lot of times they're really not necessary. And sometimes the fear is not really even keeping us safe anymore. It is causing us harm. So asking yourself, what have I really been afraid of? What has been controlling my life or taking over that I really don't want it to have that power anymore? And then sharing that with somebody that you have a safe space with, and also making that declaration that, hey, I'm choosing, I'm making the choice. A lot of this too is about making the choice of, am I going to continue to feel shame, embarrassment, resentment, or am I going to choose to come up and triumph over this? So next thing is to make the choice. Am I going to move on from this, or am I going to keep suffering? I talked about this in a recent video. So much of the time we experience, in Buddhism, we refer to it as the second arrow. So there may have been something that was really hard, or you're going through something really, really hard right now. But we can add injury to insult by continuing to judge that situation, coulda, woulda, shoulda on that situation, making all kinds of judgments and assessments about ourselves or about others that really are not supportive, right? They're not supportive in us living a healthy lifestyle. They're not supportive in us being happy. They're just overall not supportive in our well-being. So making that choice, okay, yes, maybe this was hard. I went through this in my life, and I'm at the point where I'm really choosing to move forward from this. I will say that there's something that's really important, that we will not move forward on our journey if we have not allowed ourselves to fully experience and grieve whatever that challenge was. And we can really prolong our suffering in that way. I'll give you an example. If we try to bypass the pain, if we try to bypass the grief, if we try to skip the emotions that we don't want to feel, which, and sometimes we do, right? Like, again, like I said, it's really actually brilliant, and that we're so wired for survival. But sometimes as we become adults, that's our automatic that we're living into, right? It's like an automatic response. And then it starts to cause us harm because those emotions have to go somewhere. That energy has to go somewhere. So I'm going to give you a practice that the next time you have an emotion come up that feels overwhelming, I'm going to encourage you to stick with it, to feel it, to breathe through it, feel your feet on the ground, anchor into whatever has you feel safe, whether that's to look around, connect with your senses, remind yourself I'm okay, I can handle this, and notice the sensations that are coming up without letting the mind get in. I'll give you an example. One time I caught myself doing this. I was feeling these really, really strong, intense emotions towards a family member. And I start getting in my head about it and just, going to town with all of the stories that were coming up and just really getting fired up. And then I started even going to like, what was the next activity I was going to do to feel better? I think at the time I might have still drank. I was like, I'm going to go out and have a drink. I was really just caught up in the trance of my mind. And then I remembered this practice that I had learned, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's my automatic. That's what I'm doing here. What if I just feel these feelings?" And so I was able to go inside, sit down, take a pause, close my eyes, let my mind not get involved and tell the story of, oh my gosh, this always happens. She always does this. This happens to me. I can't believe this. I'm so angry. I need to feel better. I can't wait to go out tonight. Like I deserve to feel better. You know how the stories go that we all have. We all have our version of the mental chatter. And I got in touch with the sensations and some tears running down my face. The energy shifted. I took some deep breaths. And that was that. But so much of the time our stress cycle gets interrupted. So if we can allow ourselves to complete the stress cycle, whether it's through allowing the emotions to move through the body, through the tears, through the breath, then it was over. But what my normal was until I learned this practice was to just cut off the emotions, just stuff the emotions, just buffer the emotions and go eat or drink or, retell the story a million times. We get a lot of endorphin hits when we retell these dramatic stories. So, like I started saying, a lot of this is about just really making that choice. Another thing is I love this process. I learned this from my coach, is to get the pen and paper. It's not going to be the same if you just do this from think about it. I want you to really write this down. Write your triumph story. So you can write this from a past situation that you're really still feeling holding on to, or maybe where you're currently at. If you're currently feeling like, man, I'm really struggling with that, feeling shame about it, like feeling like you don't want anybody to know, or just feeling like really defined by a situation, I want you to write your story as though you're on the other side of it. What is it that got you through this? How did you come up over this? What do you want other people to know now? Which brings me to the next thing, is that I really believe we didn't go through any of these challenges, any of these things that we may be experiencing shame about for no reason. And something that's so big in our healing journey is to get out there and tell your story. Use your story for good. I can't tell you how many times when I was working in the hospital, I would, in the hospital, we take care of and work with people from all walks of life. And there would be times that I was just really able to support and serve my patient because of the things that I have been through in my past. It's like I feel like those hard times that I passed through, especially in my teenage years and my 20s, really helped me have a deeper insight for the human suffering and the human struggling. So whatever it is that you're suffering with right now, really let's choose to put that into service for other people. You can really make a difference in somebody else's life when you come up out of this. And also, it gives somebody an opportunity when you are struggling, when you find somebody that you trust and who can guide you through that. It also gives them an opportunity to give. So I think it's a beautiful process in so many ways, and we do need each other. So using whatever this is, this struggle that you've been through in your life, to help you serve humanity. So beautiful, so, so beautiful. I can say that that's really the biggest reason I got into coaching is because it made such a huge difference in my life. I felt like I was on a hamster wheel in life, just repeating the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and wanted to change. I just had absolutely no idea how to do it. And so once I learned, oh my gosh, there are ways to get out of my own way, I wanted to share that with anybody who cared to listen, because I was so grateful to have learned that. And it's been so cool to use my own struggles now to help other people. So anytime you come out on the other side, you can really serve from that place in a much deeper way. Also, be a promise keeper. Maybe you're somebody who breaks your word to yourself a lot. You don't keep your word, and that's leading, to just even feeling worse about your story, worse about yourself. And so starting from this point on, right, we can't do anything about the past, but we might even say somebody like, oh yeah, I don't stay consistent. I don't do what I say I'm going to do. That's something that people, when we first start working together, they're like, I'm just not consistent. I'm like, all right, let's start with that there. Let's look at how is that mindset supporting you. It's really is in some ways, because it helps you stay in your comfort zone, and we love to be right and we love to be in our comfort, but it's also keeping you stuck. And I'll ask them, and I'm going to ask you, if you're somebody who says, I'm just not consistent, I don't stick with things, there are things you stick with. Do you brush your teeth every day? I'm guessing you probably do. If you have children, do you show up for your children? I'm guessing you probably do. If you have a job, do you show up for your job? I'm guessing you probably do. When somebody does something nice for you, do you say thank you? Do you eat? Do you drink water? All of these things. Yes, 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 yes. And so we want to start to look for the evidence that we do know how to keep our promise to ourselves, because this is really important in shifting how we are viewing ourselves, shifting how we're treating ourselves, shifting and elevating our belief in ourselves that, yeah, actually, I do what I say I'm going to do. So from this day forward, practicing the identity of, I am a promise keeper. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to do my best to be there. So what does this mean if we don't do what we say we're going to do? We practice compassion. We use that to learn more about ourselves, instead of just like, again, feeling shame about it, feeling bad about it, using it against ourselves. We can use it for ourselves. And what does that mean? Instead of beating ourselves up about it and feeling like a piece of crap, we're going to say, okay, what happened here? What was going on? We're going to start to get curious, know what's going on in our mind. And again, use that as part of our story, turning our turmoil, our challenges into triumph. So let me just see if there's anything else from my notes here that I want to share with you today. One more thing I wanted to share was really the power of our focus, the power of our intentionality, and our willingness to own our stories, our willingness to up, get up and rise above whatever the situation is that we're currently in that we may find challenging. And really it comes back to a commitment to do so. We may not feel like getting up today and being the best version of ourselves. We may not really feel like doing the work that it takes to get past seeing ourselves in this way or this event in a way that's not really in alignment with our highest good, right? There's some effort that's going to go into this, but there's a lot to be said about our commitment to rise above. And I always like to think that this is our only life that we're experiencing right now. And how do we want to live it? How do we want to experience this life? What's the legacy that we want to live? And no matter what it is that you're going through, or no matter where you are on your journey, there really is a purpose where you're at. Sometimes we might feel like we need to be somewhere else. I know that's something that I struggle with, thinking I should be further along or in another place. And that mindfulness practice of coming right back to life really is right now. This really is the only experience that we have, is this moment. And we never know the difference that we're making for somebody else. We really have so much value just innately in showing up and being our authentic self. So I hope you all are having a great holiday, and let me know something that is a triumph for you. And here's the thing, you might be in the middle of a challenge or still thinking about a challenge from the past. I want you to say, you know what? Actually, there's a triumph here. There is a triumph here because I am strong, I'm resilient, I have the ability, I have the capability, I have the resources, I have the creativity, I have the curiosity to use whatever this challenge is for good. Use this for something. All right, talk to you soon.